I lost £1,200 day trading NZD CHF, and the trade went in the correct direction. I'm going to show you what went wrong with this trade setup, how I personally lost £1,200, and what I'm going to be changing from my mistake. I'm Jack Beeney, a trader with over 7 years trading experience, and also the main trader for the Limitless Trading Club. I create educational content around Forex trading and my trading journey every week. Let's go back to Sunday night when the markets went mad. Here you can see the trade setup itself on the 10 p.m. open, and we was in 2% profit. Then here you can see on MT4 the difference in spread from where current price is at the bottom in the white line to where the brokers were actually saying the price was in the red zone. Finally, here we can see the loss itself, £1,200, but by the time we take out the broker's fee, I actually lost £1,300. First of all, I'm going to explain the trade setup itself so you understand why I placed a trade on Friday, so then go from there what happened Sunday night. So I'll come off the Limitless Trading Club and onto my trading view screen. As you can see, this is NZD CHF and this is the trade setup itself. We're currently on the 4-hour time frame, just to give you a decent perspective on the higher time frames. So we have a head and shoulders rejecting this big zone up here along with this trend line. I've been waiting for about a week and a half for price to pull back to the 4-hour 50 marked in the red line here once price broke the neckline. So I have a strategy called the MSBC, market structure breakout, and then we're waiting for the continuational push, which is what we got here. So once price actually broke neckline, I was waiting for this area here to come right back up into there, something like this, and then I was waiting for the push all the way down. Well, I didn't get that for a very, very long time. So once we price pull back into the 4-hour 50, I could hone into the smaller time frames and grab an entry on the trade and also set stop losses and TPs. So now on the 1-hour time frame, you can see the setup a little bit more clearly. We had the pullback right the way into the 4-hour 50, also into that downtrend and the mini zone marked across the screen here. This one as a mini zone from where the previous lows were. So I entered this trade on the 15-minute time frame to get in a nice sniper entry so I could have a 10 pip stop loss and a 40 pip take profit, giving me a nice 1 to 4 trade. So we dropped to the 15-minute time frame. As you can see here, what we had was a head and shoulders. We had a shoulder here, head, and then the right shoulder on the 15-minute time frame, which is a signal that price is moving to the bearish movement or downwards. So that was a lovely key point for me to get in. I was totally waiting for a mini pullback, which we got right here. You can see the 2 pullback candles, and then we had that engulfing candle is there. So that was my entry on this big engulfing candle, and then by the time I had set the trade and entered, the price had pulled back up slightly in my favour, meaning we could get our stop loss slightly higher. So we entered the trade for a 1 to 3 on the Friday. Trade went into a loss of near enough 0.5% before rolling over and going in the correct direction and giving us some nice profits. So before Friday close at 10 p.m, price was here. So price had just pushed down to about 2.5% in profit and then give us a pullback into about 1.5% to 2% profit. That's where price closed. So I was leaving my stop loss at the current price to give some breathing room over the weekend before putting stop loss to entry on Monday, which is today. So now you know why I entered the trade and the setup itself. Now let's go into what went wrong and how I ended up losing £1,300 on this setup, even though price went in the correct direction I was wanting. So as I previously showed, it was due to the broker's spread and price difference at 10 p.m. open on the Sunday night that took me out of this trade, even though price was in the right direction. So while I was laying in bed at about 10 past 10, I thought, charts are now open. Let's see what happened to both of my trades. I have a Euro USD trade with a 40 pip stop loss and 160 pip take profit. Also a 1 to 4 trade that was running at 1% profit. That trade is currently still running and is still at a 1% profit. Then I skipped over to the Euro NZD trade on my trading view, which was in profit of about 1.5%. So then I went over to my MT4 or MetTrader 4 platform to see what trades were still placed and how much I was making from both trades. When I opened it up, I looked to see that only one trade was there, which was the Euro USD trade, and my NZDCH trade was not there. When I went over to my history, I could then see that the trade had hit stop loss. So I was confused, sitting in bed thinking, why did this trade hit stop loss, even though price is now in a decent profit? So I then skipped over to the MT4 charts to see what spread was. As an experienced trader, I understand the difference in spreads. That's why I didn't move stop loss to entry to allow the trade some breathing room. What I'm going to add in now is you can see the differences on the spreads. So as you can see on the currency pairs here on the MT4 platform, you can see where it's got the currency pair name, and underneath that it will say spread. So if we look at the very top one is Euro USD, then it will say spread and it will say 50. Well, that means 5 pips. So Euro USD at 16 minutes past 10 last night had a 5 pip spread. So where I had a 40 pip stop loss on the Euro USD trade, along with being 40% in profit, so we had 80 pips, I was absolutely fine. If you now look at the NZDCHF pair, and underneath there it says spread, that's giving us 330. That is saying we're 33 pips spread. So where if we go back to the previously MT4 charts, that will show us the difference between where price was to what the broker is saying, and that is 33 pips. Well, if we look here, we only had a 10 pip stop loss on this trade, and we was only 15 pips in profit. That's only 25 pips. So the broker's 30 pips in spread is what they're taking me out of the trade, because I only had 25 pips to play with. We're now going to demonstrate that on the charts. So as you can see here, we've got our trade set up as it was, and current price was here when we checked the charts, and it was the 10 p.m. open. What meant was that we needed more than 33 pips between current price and where our stop loss was to be safe in the trade. So if we then get the calculator itself, if you've got trading view, the calculator is over here. We can measure how many pips we had from current price up to our stop loss, which was 24.1 pips dead on. So that is meaning we was 9 pips short of what we needed to be. So in conclusion, the main reason we got taken out of the trade was because our broker was charging loads of spread or commission on the 10 p.m. open, and they normally do that on the 10 p.m. changeovers every night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on the close. That's why none of my auto strategies will trade between 9 and 11, because spread is high at 10 p.m. I did allow for this, but I didn't think price was going to be such a big difference compared to Euro USD. That's a big mover. That was only 5 pips. Why was NZD CHF at 33 pips? I don't know. So now you understand why I was taken out of the trade and the trade setup itself. I'm now going to go through what I'm going to change in my trading to accommodate for this mistake and not to get bit again in the market for a just over 1% loss on a £100,000 trading account. So I always risk 1% on all trades, and with a £100,000 trading account, that there should be around about £1,000 per trade. That was slightly over because of when the open is so aggressive, price may take us out a little bit higher than our stop loss is marked, and that's what happened there. Instead of taking us out a 10 pip loss, it's probably taken us out about a 12 to 13 pip loss because of the jump was so big when the market opened. Because the markets and your trading view charts can only respond as quick as they're soft. Right, so the conclusion, there's going to be 2 things I'm going to be changing on my trading around Friday closes and holding over the weekend. So a trade setup like again, if price is in a decent profit like it was at 1.5% profit, what I'm going to do is put stop loss to entry. That means if I get taken out of the trade, I will only get taken out of the trade at break even, and at the end of the day, it means I haven't lost anything, but I haven't gained anything. If price is only in a very small loss or even a small profit, I will just be closing the trade itself. So if we enter a trade on Wednesday, and by the time it gets to Friday night close, it's only in at 0.5% profit, or £500 on a £100,000 trading account, I will just be closing that trade manually and having the 0.5% profit, or vice versa. If we're in 0.5% loss, I will be closing that trade out. So either or, I will be closing the trade before the weekend, or I will be putting stop loss to entry if there's enough breathing room, so that I don't end up losing any more money through broker spreads. And something to think about as a beginner trader, this sort of setup and style of what's happened in this scenario can also encourage revenge trading. So now that you've lost a trade, you'll be trying to get back in trades instantly. This is going to be bad for your trading and your trading journey. So the best thing is to stick to your trading plan. You're going to have losses and mistakes that happen like this. You've just got to learn from them and then work out a clear plan on what you're going to do. Don't change too many things, 1 or 2 at a maximum, and then just work from that and see how that works in your trading strategy. So I'm hoping from now on, over the next 6 months, I shouldn't have any more problems with the 10 p.m. closes and holding trades over the weekend. So, thank you very much for watching. If you want to watch any more educational trading content, head over to the Limitless Trading Club YouTube channel, where I drop a new educational video every Monday at 5:30.